Hey everyone, it's Neil Patel, and today is another day of Content Marketing Unlocked. And today we're going to be covering the different types of content that you find online and how you can leverage them to get more traffic and sales. We're in week 2 of Content Marketing Unlocked. As I mentioned, today we're going to be going over content types. And then over the upcoming days, we're going to end up discussing things like pillar and cluster pages and how you can leverage them for more traffic. If you're not sure what those mean, don't worry about that. We'll cover that in the upcoming days. So there are many different types of content, and you already know this. There's like things like videos and images, and you see some of that stuff on Facebook or Instagram, but those aren't the only type of content pieces out there. So today I want to take the time to go over all the different types of content that you can create to generate more traffic on your website. The first one that you're seen before, but you didn't really think is as of content is tools. If you look at neilpatel.com, I have Uber suggested tool. It drives a lot more traffic than text-based content. I also have interactive content, interactive tools within my content. And what I mean by that is within, let's say, the neilpatel.com website, I may have articles on starting your blog, and I may have a little tool in there that helps you find a domain name. And that's an example of interactive content within articles, right? So I'll integrate tools to make the experience of the text much better. Another one is the SEO Analyzer on neilpatel.com. It ends up showing you all your site audit errors. And if you haven't used it, check that out. Go look at the SEO Analyzer, put in your URL. I also even have the A/B testing calculator, which tells you, is a test significant when you're running an A/B test using Optimizely or Crazy Egg or VWO. There's also Infographics with one of my older companies. We used to create an infographic every week, literally an infographic every week. It generated us over 2.5 million visitors, got us over 41,000 backlinks, and over 3,000 referring domain names. And we did that through 47 infographics. And roughly when we looked at our costs, we spent $28,000 on that. Now, if we had to buy that traffic, it would have cost us almost $1 million in that space. So infographics are really powerful, but when you're creating them, don't just create infographics because you want traffic. It has to be related to your core business. So I wouldn't go and create an infographic on computers when I'm a dental shop. It has to be related. Another piece of content that I really love is instructional guides. So not just guides. You've heard the ultimate guides or the step-by-step guide. When I mean instructional guides, I'm talking about guides that are thorough and detailed, but they allow people to understand what to do step by step. That's what I mean by instructional guides. You can also do case studies, market data, field reports. I've done a lot of blog posts using data, like we analyze 5.8 billion articles from 64 countries. Here's what Facebook loves, or ones around, we analyzed 120,000 ads and discovered how local businesses can crush their competition on a tiny budget. Things like that, they're examples of data-rich content, and these type of pieces of content tend to generate the most amount of backlinks naturally. Then there's, of course, content for social media. There's a lot of social sites out there, from YouTube, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram. It's endless. So, and each site has their own form of content that they like. So sometimes you're going to have to adapt it. Sometimes you can use the same piece of content on multiple sites. Whenever you're using content on social media, just make sure you post the content natively. What I mean by that is, if you create a video on your phone and you upload it to YouTube, you don't want to take the YouTube URL and share it on Facebook. You want to take that video again, even the same one, and re-upload it to Facebook. That's how you get the most amount of traffic from Facebook. That's how you get the most amount of traffic from YouTube. You got to natively upload that content to each site versus sharing the link from one of the networks on another social network. Videos, you've seen them all around the web. They're becoming extremely popular. YouTube is an extremely popular website. They say it's worth over $100 billion. It's massive. So make sure you go out there and consider creating video. It doesn't have to be professional. It could just be from your phone. You can also do podcasts as well. Sometimes my co-host Eric Sue and I of Marketing School, which is our podcast, if you haven't checked it out, make sure you do. Sometimes we'll do a recording our podcast episodes, but we'll also go live and record the video of us recording the podcast. And we'll even take questions from a live audience and answer them as well. And podcasts are blowing up. They're booming, especially in certain parts of the world like Asia. So make sure you jump on the podcast bandwagon now before it gets too late. Now with podcasting, people listen to them when they're on the go, in their car, working out, jogging, whatever it may be. it really does create a personal bond with people. And there's so many distribution channels for podcasts, like the iTunes store or Spotify. These are all places where you can get more people listening to you as well. Then there's webinars. If you want to check out one of my webinars, go to neilpatel.com/master-class, and you'll see one of my webinars. So that's an example of a webinar. It's great to build engagement. It's great to sell from, and people will give you instant feedback, and they'll be on there for 20, 30 minutes, sometimes even an hour, depending on how long your webinar is. You can also take a hybrid approach. Sometimes with a lot of my blog-based content, you'll see me embedding videos or audio files or animated infographics, and it's because I'm taking a hybrid approach. I don't do this because I want more traffic, and well, technically I want more traffic, but that's not the purpose of me doing that. The hybrid approach, if it helps provide a better experience for people and it can delight them more, that's when you want to end up doing it. You don't want to do it just for the sake of being like, oh, let me embed a video so I can get more video views. It's about providing a better experience. Then there's eBooks and white papers. These are great, especially if you're trying to generate leads. This is more effective in B2B than B2C from what I've seen, but it's also great as well. And a lot of times you can do it saying, put in your company information if you want this ebook or white paper. There's also journeys. I once shared a journey on my journey to $100,000 a month in income, or revenue more so, not necessarily income. And that was really successful. It was super popular. People loved it. They read it and they followed along. Then there's eCourses or digital classes. You see them on Udemy and sites like that. Here's an example right now, what you're listening to and watching. This is an example of a digital class or an online course. And you can find more of these at neilpatel.com/training. It works well, builds a bond, great branding, and people love education. And then, of course, there's live videos. So there's Instagram Live, Facebook has live, Twitter does, LinkedIn does, all those big social networks do. It's a great way to build a connection with the audience because you can answer questions, bring them on live as well, and generate sales from that too. There's guest posting. I don't do guest posting much anymore. I used to do a lot more of this like 4 years ago, but why not get your content featured everywhere? Because some of these sites like Entrepreneur and New York Times already have a lot of traffic. So why not get them to feature some of your content, because it just drives more brand awareness. This is one of the age-old channels out there, magazines. They're still really popular. My wife buys a ton of magazines. I always am a junkie of magazines when I'm at the airport. I love buying them as well. And it's a great place to check out interviews and the type of content. And because, magazines people end up buying and they're more offline, people in many cases see more value in the magazines. They put more emphasis on like, oh my God, this is high in quality. So you can always consider creating your own magazine too for your industry. Listicles, who doesn't love list-based posts? The best ones are the ones that you find on Facebook through ads and you have to keep clicking next, next, next. Don't do that. People do that because they want to generate ad income. If you want to generate ad income, you could do that. But in general, you want an easy to understand listicle. It's great for conversation, works well for gathering links. You can even do roundup posts. That's another example of a content type as well. And you can do lists on anything like the best razors or the best toasters or the best, marketing software. It makes your content scannable, easy to understand, and you don't need 101 items. Just make it really thorough, detailed, and amazing. You can also use multiple images within a post that tell a story. I do this really well on social media sites like Instagram and LinkedIn. It's carousel content where people can click next, 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 next. Tons of engagement. What we find is these kind of pieces of content get almost double the amount of shares than our normal content that we end up creating. So now what I want you to do is go to neilpatel.com/training, click on Content Marketing Unlocked, and go to week 2, video 1, and download the content types checklist. So that way when you're creating content, you'll know what type you're creating, the goals, objectives, and how you can end up generating more traffic from these content types. Now, if you have questions, feel free to leave a comment. If you enjoy the video, like it, share it, tell your friends about it, and of course, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. Oh, and if you need help with any of these content types and you want my team to just do it for you, check out my ad agency, Neil Patel Digital. Again, thank you for your time.